Hey guys, what's going on? Steven back again, and I'm back with another 40k video from Major Kill. I'm happy to be back doing another Major Kill video since it's been a while since I've done one. Now, the topic for this video is, which faction is currently winning? Good question. Not a clue. You know, I have no idea what is actually going on in the lore, and I try to keep up with it. You know, I try to watch as many 40k videos as I can, and I have no idea. You know, it's like at the start of this edition, there was quite a bit going on. You know, we had Vashtor, whose model actually looked really badass looking, not gonna lie. His model looked awesome. Him and Abaddon were teaming up. Vashtor wanted to become like the 5th Chaos God or something along those lines. Then he attacked the rock because I think he needed something that was hiding in the rock. And then, of course, the lion woke up. So then Vashtor got pushed aside. Then we had the lion. He was out there doing stuff. He was gathering up the fallen and stuff. And then him and Angron had a pretty badass fight. And it's kind of it. At least that I know of. And now Fulgrim is back. And now there is rumors of, I guess, Russ returning. So, or possibly returning. So, yeah, kind of interesting. I mean, it is cool seeing all these Primarchs return. But let's kind of focus on what we got here, you know? I mean, what the hell's Vashtor been doing since he got defeated at the Rock? Like, haven't really seen or heard anything about him in a while. You know, what's the lion doing? You know, yeah, he had that awesome fight with Angron. Now what? You know, what's he doing now? You know, when are we going to get the lion and Rebute reunion? You know? And now with Fulgrim back, you know, those two are going to get pushed aside. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, what's happening. So, let's see what the video says. All right, so, yeah, let's just jump right in and see which faction's winning right now. Here we go.
G'day guys and gal. One thing Warhammer does pretty well is make sure everyone stays in the fight and has their share of elves and dubs. Other than the Eldar apparently, space elves literally can't catch a break. Sometimes the Imperium's dominating, like during the Great Crusade. Sometimes Chaos seems like they're on top, like when the Great Rift opened. Sometimes the Orcs are scary, like during the War of the Beast. However, who is currently winning this setting at 40k?
Yeah, it's a balancing
Who would have
act.
the best odds if GW announced the end times are about to kick off? It's an interesting and quite complicated question, but there is indeed an answer. Before we get started, as spring arrives for most of you,
I
it's
would
time to shade up
say
into coats, and by that,
if
I mean
they
it's
were
time
to do
tighten
like
up
an
the
end
rigs to
time
get into
thing,
shape. Now you could do
which
that
is
by
actually
figuring
kinda
out
cool.
maintenance calories through trial and error, get frustrated and give up, or you could biohack yourself
Probably
with the power of
Tyranids?
Omnissiah using the Lumen. We all know everyone has a different metabolism.
know,
and
it's my
responds better
guess,
to different
the
quantities and
Tyranids?
types of food, but no one tells us what our
I
metabolism
mean,
actually
since we
is
don't
like,
really
other
know
than
how
Lumen.
many of them
How
there
it works is
are,
that by breathing into your
and,
Lumen
you know,
device,
there is the rumor that
it can
there's
detect
more
your
of them,
metabolic activity and then tell
more
you
than
which
what we
optimal
know
path forward.
currently
For me,
in the
biggest
galaxy
option
right
Lumen was
now,
telling you to
so
carb up before workouts for better results.
I don't
And I
know.
genuinely started
But that's
hitting
my
more
guess.
PBs
It's probably
and feeling better in the
Tyranids.
gym after that. Lumen also gives you daily macro targets, and it also syncs up with your other health apps to give you a complete view of what's going on. Basically, it takes out all of the guesswork and mucking about, giving you the exact info regarding what you need to make it as easy as possible to achieve your goals, whether that be burning fat, building muscle, or both. So to get your Lumen for 15% off, then go to lumen.me/majorkill or scan the QR
Or I guess I
code on the
wonder
screen.
who
This is the
would
best way
kick
to
off the
kickstart
end
your Lumen
times.
journey. Cheers to Lumen for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over each faction's current position in the power struggle of 40k to determine who is actually winning. Let's get into it. Starting us off large and in charge, how is the Imperium of Man going? Well, out of all the
Okay.
factions, the Imperium is by far the biggest yo-yo. Prior to the opening of the Great Rift, they were definitely winning. Each tyrannic war had ended in Imperial victory, the Imperium won all the wars for Armageddon, the Eldar didn't want to touch them, and Chaos had been mostly confined to the Eye of Terror, with all large conflicts against Chaos, like the Siege of Rax, ending in Imperial victory. But then, the Fire Nation, then the Abaddon attacked, destroying Cadia, ruining
yep.
the Necron Pylon network, and causing the Great Rift to open. weapon.
And then the
opening Great
Imperium
Rift
gets knocked down a
fucking
peg or
sucks more
two.
dick than your mum. It knocked the Emperor out, temporarily winking at the Astronomicon, which in turn allowed a huge Cornite host to materialize on Terra and almost kill the Emperor. It caused millions of ships mid-warp travel to become lost or destroyed. It consumed hundreds of Imperial worlds and turned them into demon worlds, with thousands more getting sieged by demonic hordes. It also cut the Imperium in half. Overall, a terrible time. A total defeat was only prevented by the desperate resurrection of Guilliman, who sprinted to Terra in time to save it, before then creating the Indominus Crusade to stabilize a lot of the Imperium.
Oh, okay, so that's what started the Indominus Crusade.
Forcing Abaddon to take a step back and come up with new strategies. The Indominus Crusade would secure Imperium Sanctus, the side of the Imperium where the Emperor's light still reached, whilst Imperium Nihilus would start to come under somewhat control as Dante and his Blood Angels fought to hold it together. So overall, the Imperium is slowly rallying as it reconciles its might and adjusts to the new shithole state of the galaxy. Guilliman would go on to win the Plague Wars, benching the Death Guard hard, and is now turning his attention on taking on the Silent King and the Tyranids. In the meantime, the Lion has also returned, a massive dub for the Imperium, as he battles on Imperium Nihilus.
Hell yeah, the Lion's back.
Warbands, Tyranid forces, and everything else that
Tywin Lannister.
So whilst I wouldn't say the Imperium is cruising, they're significantly more stabilized and now have 2 return loyalist Primarchs.
Yeah.
Also, there is the Emperor waking up, which is cool, but until we see that develop, it's hard to know how much of an advantage that will give the Imperium.
Wait,
now let's
really?
look at Chaos. For the longest time, the Ruinous powers were on the back foot. Whilst they theoretically had an endless tide of demons and technically have near limitless power due to the warp, they need their mortal followers to establish footholds that they
Is
can
the middle
exploit. For example, during
the
the
Great
Heresy,
Horned
when
one?
Chaos was powerful as fuck, they were able to create fortresses and structures the size of star systems using their infinite warp power, because they had so much influence on real space. However, now demons can barely manifest outside the Eye of Terror without their balls cramping. I mean, that was until the opening of the Great Rift. That blow to the Imperium is so mighty that the traitor legions have begun refocusing on the Long War, seeing it as winnable for the first time in thousands of years, whilst demons can now manifest freely in most of the galaxy. Due to the state of the galaxy, Khorne has become ascendant, with Angron currently being the most powerful demon Primarch, mostly due to his ability to reform after banishment extremely quickly. Demon Primarchs are re-entering the setting left, right and centre, with Magnus, Angron and recently Fulgrim all in on the action and causing havoc. It hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows though for the forces of Hell. Mortarion is currently in the naughty corner for failing Nurgle, as stated the Lion is returned, and Guilliman stopped Chaos's momentum dead in its tracks after the opening of the Great Rift. However, Chaos has not been this strong since the Heresy, and there doesn't really seem to be any good way to beat them right now. Killing Abaddon would be a great blow, but another would rise to take his place. Demon Primarchs cannot be killed, only banished, and there's still at least 2 Demon Primarchs yet to re-enter the setting. Abaddon is also currently working with Vashtor to find a super weapon that could give Chaos the edge it needs to beat the Imperium,
whatever happened to
Vashtor? Close. So overall, Chaos is in a very strong position, but is that enough to put him in the lead? I'll go with the Eldar next, as it is a bit of a meme.
Yeah, because whatever happened to Vashtor? He got defeated and that was like the end of it.
Chance to unnerf themselves, free themselves from Slanesh's influence, and rise up to become a new powerhouse threat in the galaxy. Instead, we got to see them be Guilliman's sidekicks, get their ass whooped by a shard of some random new Slaneshi demon, before their plotline abruptly ends with a, yeah, so you can't really progress any further. Now GW seems to be moving away from the Ynnari entirely, with even Eldrad abandoning their cause. The major craft worlds are getting smacked one by one, with Ulthwé currently being attacked by a united Night Lord.
Now what is the difference with the Ynnari?
Shattered, Yanden is mostly a Wraith craft world, and I bet the others have some unlubricated cock heading straight for their assholes as well. Despite their awesome model range refresh recently, the Eldar's lore is as stale as an 80-year-old hooker's gash, so this is one of the few factions I can comfortably say is not currently winning the setting of 40k. Maybe there will be some more developments, since it appears that Fulgrim is wielding the final Crone Sword, so if the Elder can take that off him, then maybe they can awaken Yned and do something cool with that plotline.
They need all those swords.
Vocabulary, and the Dark Elder are barely holding their own domain together, let alone worrying about any sort of conquest. I don't know about the Harlequins, those guys are hard to track. Another faction that isn't winning, but maybe one day could, is the Tau. The Tau are the only faction in 40k that are not stagnant or decaying. They are constantly expanding their territories via sphere expansion.
So they're just staying flat, basically.
In a few centuries or millennia, this could result in them becoming the most powerful faction, but they have to last that long. Recently, their 4th and 5th sphere expansions came crashing down when they fought a small fraction of the Death Guard Legion. Although the Tau won at great cost, let's put that into perspective. A sphere expansion is the greatest focus and concentration of Tau military assets at any given time. They had 2 sphere expansions worth of forces that went up against a small portion of the Death Guard, who themselves are a small portion of all traitor legions, who themselves are a small portion of the total might of chaos. So yeah, the Tau aren't winning anything big anytime soon. They just need to hold on until their tech is so advanced it makes the Necrons look like Neanderthals. Speaking of which, how are the Necrons tracking? A lot of people are confused by the Necrons. They have the most advanced tech, most of which they used and have kept since the War in Heaven, a time where gods fought in real space, a war that the Necrons technically won, yet they barely seem to be impacting the setting. Many people say, oh, that's just because they're sleeping. When they wake up, it's game over. Sorry to break it to you, but most of the Necrons have already woken up. At least the Necrons are better. It's just that with their newfound freedom granted by the Silent King, most of them just want to keep random retards off their lawn or infight with rival Necron dynasties. Only Imhotep the Storm Lord and the Silent King have any true ambition for total victory, and those two powerhouses are fighting each other as well. To the Silent King's credit, he's trying to create and expand the Pariah Nexus, a region of space where the warp is dead. His goal is to expand the Pariah Nexus to encompass the galaxy, meaning no more chaos, no more Eldar, no more Tyranids, as the hive mind is a psychic connection. Even the humans would eventually die out, as humans within the Nexus experience their souls being smothered, and it really bums
would be
them out.
impressive.
Basically, it would be a warpless galaxy, free of psykers, warp travel, and even souls. Only the Tower wouldn't mind it. However, with all the Necron infighting and the Imperium throwing up stiff resistance, including Gilliman coming in person, the Pariah Nexus is mostly contained for now. But it's cool to see the Necrons actually have a plan that they are actioning that
at least they got a goal.
Victory. A bit of a wild card now. What about the Tyranids? Well, the Tyranids are either the greatest or second weakest threat to the galaxy right now, behind the Eldar obviously, depending on how many more Nids are waiting to invade the Milky Way. You've probably all seen an image like this at some point. However, these are actually non-canon images. Everything in the Milky Way now could represent the entire Tyranid's strength, or it could represent less than 1% of their strength. We just don't know.
Exactly.
The Tyranids are mighty, consuming many worlds, and even if they fail,
that is such a cool picture.
The world is usually left permanently damaged. Even when a main hive fleet is beaten, it only takes a splinter of it surviving, eating weak worlds, and then it can return in full strength within a few decades. The Tyranids have also been adapting to the galaxy's defenders, creating new warrior forms using the DNA of newly consumed enemies to counter them. However, the galaxy is also adapting to the Tyranids. Many strategies have been tried and tested and shown to be hyper-effective against the Nids. The Imperium has also figured out how to revive and terraform planets that were consumed by the Nids, meaning all their damage is potentially undoable. When the Great Rift opened, the hive mind was also kicked in the balls, similar to how the Emperor was, and got knocked out. So that may hint towards the main Tyranid's strength already being in the Milky Way, as if the majority of the hive mind was still outside the galaxy, then a galactic event shouldn't have been enough to affect it like that. Right now, I would say the Tyranids are a massive threat, causing everyone a huge headache, but does that mean they're actually winning? Hard to say. Time to get orky. The Orcs have always been around and have always been a good time. Some people may argue that the Orcs are winning no matter what, since their idea of victory is a state of constant battle. However, we aren't Orcs, and my definition of winning in this context is who has the best chance to achieve total domination of the galaxy. Orcs were always lined up to be the punching bag of the other factions.
I guess it depends on if they could get someone to rally behind.
The Tau have been fucking them up on numerous occasions recently, as have even the Eldar. However, with the rise of Ghazghkull, things are turning around. After the end of the Third War for Armageddon, Ghazghkull has rallied the biggest war the galaxy has ever seen, featuring billions and billions of Orcs on millions of Orc ships. Where this green tidal wave will crash, I am not sure, but it'll be epic as hell. However, the Orcs also did recently lose the Octarius War, an all-out system-spanning war between the Tyranids and the Orcs, with the Tyranids finally winning and coming out of the conflict turbocharged due to all the biomass and experience they gained. Perhaps Gaz will use his mega army to halt the Tyranid onslaught. Perhaps he'll use it to
that would be a cool thing to see.
Or maybe he'll
just a massive Orc army against a massive Tyranid army.
It's hard to say, but the Orcs currently do have a big fist that they're ready to annihilate someone with. As for the Leagues of Votan, yeah, sure, you can giggle and be like, okay, Major Kill, yeah, the midgets are winning. And that is a fair take. However, we need to remember that one of the Imperium's victory conditions is rediscovering an intact STC, which would return their tech to Dark Age of Technology levels, which is when they're unstoppable. The Leagues have intact STCs. Sure, they have their own issues, but the Leagues have insane technology. They just aren't conquerors and want to be mostly left alone. Okay, so judging by all of this, who is actually winning the setting of 40k? Well, it's definitely not the Tau, Eldar, or Leagues, I'll tell you that much. I also wouldn't say the Orcs are, as although they have a lot of potential right now, they haven't done anything.
They just aren't doing anything.
The Tyranids are a major threat to everything, but are also mostly kept in check due to everyone fighting them at the same time and hating them. Likewise, the Necrons have a plan and are executing it, but they are also way too infighty and have been hit hard by the Imperium for that plan to be considered winning yet. The Imperium has returned to a strong position with a Lion and G-Men in action, but they're still just trying to survive, taking on the brunt of the Necrons, Chaos, Tyranids, and even the Tau all by themselves.
So basically everyone.
Clear path to victory, even if you can call them the strongest. So I would honestly say right now that Chaos is winning. They can attack from almost anywhere from the Great Rift. Most of their Primarchs have returned or are returning. There are demons everywhere. Abaddon is close to unlocking his super weapon. Vashtor is close to becoming a new Chaos God, and they have a near endless tide of resources and soldiers due to the warp. help. It's impressive how Chaos can go from one of the least threatening to the most threatening factions just because they managed to blow up Tadia. It's kind of like opening up a dam. If you enjoy the video and you want to support
and
the
then
channel,
you know they'll
pick up
get knocked down a couple of
We've
pegs
had
sooner
so
or
many
later.
releases recently with so many more coming up, I don't even know which one to talk about specifically here. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for winning content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Okay, so apparently as of right now, Chaos is winning. Yeah, I mean, I guess that does make sense with pretty much most of all the Primarchs basically for them being back, you know. Imperium only has 2. So a little outnumbered there, but yeah, it seems like everybody else is doing a lot of infighting. You know, Orcs are just kind of waiting for something to, you know, unleash that massive fist that he said, you know, because Grazgul's got all these Orcs just ready to go, and all right, where's that fist gonna land, you know? Tyranids are just kind of like, I don't know, just getting their asses kicked on all fronts, and that might be the full force of the Tyranids that are in the galaxy right now. You know, maybe that is everything, you know, because like you said, that picture is a fan art. So I mean, we don't have any, which kind of sucks. There's so much like fan art out there. I mean, it's cool seeing it, but you know, where's like the official Games Workshop fan art, you know? Because that'd be really cool to actually see, because then we'd have some like actual definitive, I guess, proof, I guess you can say, you know, because what was that, you know, like, is this picture actually like real? You know, maybe Games Workshop could do something, and that may, I mean, maybe they're saving that for, you know, like a certain reason or an event or something like that. But I mean, if Games Workshop ever posted a picture of something like this, it's like, okay, so we do know there are way more Tyranids out there than what is currently in the galaxy right now. So, yeah, I mean, like, everything right now is just all like fan animation, fan pictures and stuff like that. Is that the horn one? The Great Horn one? I wonder why he's in that. You know, like, even some of the pictures of the Chaos Guards aren't even, like, that's not what they look like. You know, it's just all close speculation. I don't know. It is interesting, but yeah, Chaos is, yeah, winning right now with most of their Primarchs back. You know, I think what do they got left? These 2? I think these 2 are the last 2 to come around. I mean, it'll be kind of cool to see what those 2 look like. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Seeing all the Chaos Primarchs and stuff like that look really badass. So, Fulgrim's looks pretty cool. Some of the faces look a little, you know, I don't know. The Forgeful one, they both had their ups and downs. Let's just say that. But yeah, some of the heads on the Fulgrim one were kind of like very derpy looking, not gonna lie. But either way, it still looked very cool. But yeah, it would be cool to see what, you know, Lorgar and stuff like that look like whenever they return. So yeah, there we go. At the moment, Chaos is winning. But never know. Things could always change, you know. Maybe we'll get something with Abaddon and Vastor once again, because like I said, Vastor got his ass kicked at the Rock, and then what happened then? Like, where'd he go? What's he doing, you know? I don't know. I mean, he did look... did he show a picture of Vastor? Because, I mean, yeah, there we go. I mean, he looks badass. I mean, that looks pretty twisted and sick and stuff like that. Some sort of, like, I don't know, demon machine, you know? That thing, Vastor looks awesome. You know, so hopefully they can do, I don't know, hopefully they do something with it. So, I don't know. I think they say, what, 11th edition's coming soon, so who knows what that's going to bring. Who knows? Alright, so anyways, there we go. There is the video. Which faction is currently winning right now? And yeah, looks like right now Chaos has the upper hand, but things can always change, and Chaos can get knocked down a couple of pegs, and someone else can rise. So it is what it is. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button, that'd be awesome. Remember, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media, links in the description box below. And of course, if there's any videos you guys want me to check out, let me know down below in the comment section, or leave a link, and I'd be happy to do a video on it. So other than that, just stick around. More videos are on the way, and I will see you guys next time.